Hi, friends. It's Kayla Brandon. Welcome back to the Let's Get Candid podcast. How's everybody doing today? Happy Thursday. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever day or time it is that you're listening. So happy to be back on the mic with you guys. Welcome to season 2 of the Let's Get Candid podcast. I know I've been doing this for almost 3 years, so season 2 seems a little silly. We're doing things a little differently around here to give you and myself a break from lots of content because I'm kind of tired of there just being so much content out there, so much to consume, and I'm all about being a lot more intentional and being present in my life. And that for me has come with taking that much needed hiatus, which I talked about in last week's episode, and really paring down who I surround myself with and taking note of my energy drainers and what fills me up and what fills my cup and fulfills me, what excites me, and who I feel my best around, and the opportunities that I should probably say no to make room for the right ones. And we're going to talk a lot more about that in coming episodes because I've recorded a lot of episodes in the last few months that I just haven't been holding on to until I was ready to come back. But we talk a lot about, leaning into feminine energy and, creating businesses that feel right and allow us to show up in the way that we want to show up in whatever industry we're in, which leads me to this week's guest. So before I dive into Emily Pinegar and more about her, I wanted to do a quick suck and sweet of the week, and then we'll dive right in. So a suck of the week is I think I tweaked my back, which is really frustrating because I've been feeling a little bit of pain in my lower collarbone, rotator cuff, shoulder area, and my shoulder blade, and now it's reverberating, or however you pronounce that, down my spine to the left side. And I went to the chiropractor last week, and they really unlocked some things, moved things around during the therapeutic massage, and then I was feeling a lot better. I went to yoga yesterday, and it was a class all about opening your heart chakra, which was exactly what I needed yesterday, but definitely doing a lot of back bends and arching my back was not something that was the best for me. So it felt really good in the moment. And I woke up this morning fine, but after washing my hair, definitely my back is hurting a little bit. So I think I tweaked it and I need to make a stop at the chiropractor again soon. So that's kind of the suck of the week. And also just that yesterday I had a call with one of my best friends for over 16 years, Amber. She's been on the podcast before, and we have to schedule in calls every couple months because we can go literal years without speaking, and we pick up right where we left off. But it was time to do a quick catch up because there's a lot going on in both of our lives. A lot of big changes are happening as we enter our late 20s, and she lives in Oklahoma City, so it's nice to be able to catch up since we don't get to see each other all that often anymore. And it was so cathartic just having the space, like someone holding space for you to let out everything that you've been feeling is really, really important. And like I said in my episode last week where I told you about my hiatus, just I've been going through a lot of evolutions and learnings about myself, healing, growing, evolving. And the reason why I needed the hiatus that I don't really think I said was that I didn't feel comfortable talking about it with people. Like I just was having all these really cool conversations, networking and business opportunities and connecting with so many incredible people. But I was left at the end of the day feeling empty because I just didn't have someone to share that with. And I realized I need to give that to myself. So I needed to take some time to get my inner monologue back, go back to journaling. But having a friend hold space for you to do that is so special and so rare. And it just means even more to me that someone I've known for 16 years, we could schedule that time in and really be there for each other. And it just was exactly what I needed. I cried because I was just so grateful that someone wanted to listen and be there for me. And just knowing that no matter how far apart we are distance wise or, in all the different ways that people can be different, we still care about each other, respect each other enough to hold space. And we both were like, yeah, you're going to be one of my bridesmaids. And that's just something that I didn't know I needed yesterday. And then going to the yoga class where it was about opening your heart chakra and letting go of the past version of you, and forgiving yourself and giving yourself grace and letting in whatever you need to let in and releasing whatever you need to let out. It was just such a it was a great day in that sense. Like, it was a hard day, it was an emotional day, but that it was also a really good day. So I guess it's both a suck and sweet. And that would, I guess, be my sweet of the week, is just having a catch up conversation with a friend. We scheduled it because we both needed to talk about things that were going on in our lives. And we knew it was going to be a heavy conversation. And I've been feeling that a lot in the last few months because so many people have been in and out of my life. I've set boundaries, I've lost friendships on purpose, intentionally, and some not so much. And that's always been really hard for me because you want to feel love, you want to feel like people want you in their life, you want to feel cared for. At least I do. But it's really sweet knowing that you have people in your life that really do care about you and want to be there for you and hold space for you. And the reason boundary work is so important is, making space for the right people and the right things, the right opportunities by putting boundaries around or letting go of the wrong ones. So I guess my second sweet of the week are kind of intertwined there, but it was definitely a very insightful day yesterday. And I feel really good going into August. Money is coming in. I can feel it. My business is growing. Q3 is here. Things are getting better on a professional front. And I'm just getting more aligned opportunities. And I've definitely noticed in the past where I've said yes to clients or people that are just not the best opportunities for me, and how they're still reverberating, or I don't know how you pronounce that word. They're still around, like they're still percolating in my life, and how those repercussions, like how it happened, like how they're still around and still affecting me. So just all the more reason to be more intentional in the future. And the good things are coming. I could feel it. I love the clients that I continue to work with, that the opportunities are just getting better, stronger, bigger. Threads has been a really incredible platform for me lately, connecting with people, and LinkedIn as always. And I just feel really excited about what's to come. I did a call with my accountant last week or 2 weeks ago now, just my, halfway through 2024 projections and how things have been going the last 6 months and where we see the firm growing and, taxes and all that fun stuff. And definitely I'm a lot more on track than I thought I was going to be this year, which you don't get to see day to day or month to month when you're looking at your accounts or your books. Like, it doesn't feel that way. But having a trusted advisor come in and who looks at my books every month, she sees everything that's coming in and out, and she's like, no, you're doing okay. Like, you're actually doing really, really well because you're considering the XYZ that most people don't consider. So like, you have a good mindset, like things are going to be okay, like things are working out. Just like having that, of course, external validation, and unfortunately, like I do crave that, I do need that sometimes, but having it from someone that I really trust in a financial sense, because that is one of my biggest stressors, as most small business owners know, especially starting out. So I guess that would be sweet too, which was sweet of like 2 weeks ago. That is just continue to expand from there. And I just am really excited for the next few months. And fall is my favorite time of year. So we're approaching that, and I'm excited. A lot of cool things in the works, which I know I tease all the time, but I promise you they're coming, and you'll hear more about them throughout the next few weeks in different intros. But I thought I'd give you guys a quick catch up there. But if you want to know more about what's going on in real time, be sure to follow me on social media and, come chat with me. Let me know what's going on in your life. What are you up to? What are you liking lately? What are you not liking lately? I want to connect with you guys more, and I'm hoping with video content that you guys feel a little bit more connected to me. This is new. I've never done video intros before. I've just real clips of the episodes, but now I have the full episode for you guys on Spotify and YouTube. So that's really exciting. Shout out to my editor, Amanda, for making this possible, and my assistant, Caitlin, for helping me get the content up on social media for you guys every single week. And I'm excited to keep growing the podcast and keep having these candid conversations. And last thing before we dive into introducing our guest, this podcast is officially going to be trademarked. I got through the notice of opposition stage. I got my confirmation that we are going to be registered. I'm just waiting for my registration in the mail, but the Let's Get Candid podcast is officially now trademarked, which is so exciting. It's the first trademark I ever filed, and I am a trademark attorney, so it just feels extra special that the first one could be my own, and I'm excited to see how the podcast continues to grow. So without further ado, let's introduce Emily Pinegar. She is a hairstylist based in Utah. She has over 30 years of experience in the industry, and she has her own salon. and she shares how she has grown her own business, how the industry has evolved, her approach to the industry, and educating other stylists coming up in the industry through her coaching programs, her education programs. And something that I learned during this episode that's really cool is instead of having the girls that work at her salon go through beauty school by the state of Utah, like a cosmetology school or like a hair school, like we all see Arveda and, different ones that you see on the street, Paul Mitchell, things like that. She created a education program in her salon that gives them the certification of the state through her program, and that way they have more resources than ever to either create a clientele within her salon or go off and create their own. And I just really enjoy someone who loves to educate for the sake of education and empowerment and mentorship and growth of the person, rather than just teaching someone how to do the bare minimum to run their business and create more money for them. Like she actually wants to help people grow in their businesses and their lives. And that's something that I really took away from this conversation. I'm really excited for you guys to listen to this conversation with her. And I hope you guys like it. If you like this episode, please leave a rating and review. Please subscribe to the show, share with a friend, tag us as you're listening. Let me know who you want to see next, what topics you want me to cover next. And I will see you guys in next week's episode. Meet Emily. Emily, what's something that people wouldn't know about you just from following you?
Oh, so much, because I really don't love social media. And in my business, I should love it, but because I'm so anciently old, I don't love it. So almost
You're not that old.
But okay, so for starters, let's see. If you were to follow me like my I am Lady M account, you would probably never know that I have 4 children. And the best news just happened a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to be a grandma.
That's so exciting.
I know. Isn't that so fun? It's like I'm over the moon about it right now.
No, that's awesome. Especially like because Mother's Day was yesterday. Yeah. It's probably like an extra special time for you and her to find out. Yeah. I wasn't sure if it was your daughter or like your daughter-in-law, but I was like, that's really cool. My grandma came over yesterday. We were just hanging out by the pool for Mother's Day, and it was just so nice to spend time with family. So that's so exciting that you guys are having a new addition.
So that's one thing people wouldn't know. Another thing people probably wouldn't know is I have been an avid runner for several years, competed in a lot of marathons and half marathons. I'm retired now from it, but I still run. I just don't race. So
gotcha. Yeah, I feel like marathons got really popular all of a sudden. Like everybody I know is training for a marathon and has run like multiple halves and stuff. And I'm not a runner. So give you guys props. My dad's a runner. He runs every morning. And no, it's not for me.
A runner or you're not. It's not for you. Yeah, but it's so many that it kind of wiped my body out a little bit.
That's the thing. Like it's definitely, unless you are eating a lot and you're cross training, like it can be really hard on your body. And as someone who is a dancer, and I just prefer more low impact movement and working out like yoga and Pilates, I'm also very turned out. So I remember my dad in like middle or high school wanted me to start running with him. And so he took me to like get sneakers, like fitted for sneakers. And they were like, no, like she cannot run. Her hips are literally like this. Like they would have had to train me, and then I wouldn't be as flexible as I was. Like I was just so flexible that it would have been painful for me. So I was like, oh, I have an excuse. Like I can't run, but I just don't like it. I just don't like it. And I would skip. I was the kid that would every day at PE when we had to run the mile, I would fake an injury. And my coach knew that I was faking it. He didn't care. I would sit in the shed, just wait until that was over.
Well, I never started running until I was in my early 30s. And then I just they talk about the endorphins and that it's an actual, like the endorphins they get is the same drug that's released when you're using drugs. Right. And
interesting.
I would get such a high and I got so addicted to it. And I still am pretty addicted to it. I still do my long mileage every
week. For yourself. Yeah. I think it's different when you're doing it for yourself, like for wellness, to maintain, for fitness, for mental health, than
Right.
like marathon runners. Like that's a whole different ballgame, especially like regularly, like you're doing multiple a year. That's just very hard. I
Yeah.
want to get into it. I wanted to get into it more for like that, headphones in, you're just like focused and like you're running and outside, sun, nature. But it's so hard on my body. But that for me, yoga, I mean, I still struggle with it. My brain doesn't always turn off in yoga, but I'm getting a lot better at it. It's been almost a year that I've been going
Oh, good for you.
frequent, like more than once a week usually.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go tonight and I cannot wait.
Yeah. And
But
I do yoga. I actually been doing it for 10 years now, and I do it about 5 times a week. It's called Bikram yoga. It's a very
yeah,
like, yeah, hot yoga. Room's 105, 87% humidity. It's crazy. But I'm to the point now with how many races I did, and I was on the podium. So I was like racing.
yeah,
It ruined me to the point where now if I don't do yoga, I can't walk. I
yeah.
barely
No,
walk.
that the reason I got into it was one of my professors in law school. She was like, "You guys are in the library all day long. I'm gonna teach." She's like a certified yoga instructor too, and she was like, I need this for myself because I've been sitting in this chair for hours, and like you guys definitely need to get out of these hard wooden chairs." So she like started doing it once a week, and I stopped doing it because of the bar exam because I was home. And I
Yeah.
was like, wait, no, like I need to get back into that. And as a retired dancer, like I need to
Yes.
still stretch my body, and it feels so good. I even no matter what, I actually realized this the other day. I took a class, and um the instructor was like, what, like leave, like as the class was ending, she's like, what's one thing you want to take away from your mat today? And I like had never heard that question. I was like, you know what? No matter how frazzled or hectic or upset or whatever I come into class with, I always leave feeling at least 1% better. And that's what I want to take away today. Cause like I might have to go back to the chaos, but that hour, there was no chaos. I mean, I was actively fighting the chaos, but by the end of it, I was so tired. I finally like was able to relax, and I was like, I
Yeah.
needed this. And
No.
I think to your point, like, not just the stretching, the moving your body, like for mental health, but as someone who runs multiple businesses like you do, and I do as well, like you need it. You need that time just for you. Also,
Yeah.
4 kids, that's a lot. You're always doing something. You're always on for other people, especially as a stylist, because you're the therapist. You're the girl's version of a bartender. So you need that time for you.
Clearly. Yeah. No, and I've gotten to finally to this point where I can go into the room and I'll like 60 or a 90-minute class, depends. But I'm finally to the point where I can focus and I leave everything at the door. There's very few days, even with how much I have going on in my life, very few days now that I bring into the room the outside jumble in my head. It's just my
That's
hours
that's the goal.
to separate everything and focus only on myself. It's almost like a spiritual journey.
Yeah. No, it is. I think that's the goal for me for sure, is to be able to get to that point where I can walk into the studio and I'm just there to
Yep.
take it all in, and I'm not like sweating, like running late, rushing,
Yeah.
but baby steps. It's only been
That's right.
August is when I started going really consistently, so it hasn't even been a year, but I can tell the difference significantly in just my body, aches and pains, but my mindset for sure. No, I think it's cool that you have that for yourself because you do so many different things. So, um, how did you get into hairstyling? Because I feel like nowadays it's like social media, and it's funny that you mentioned like you're not super big on social media, which you should be for your job, but I feel like the styling, you've been in this industry for 30 years, more than 30 years, and now it's like glamorized. It's like this whole like social media, like who you go to is important, and like the reels and like this and all the trends. But you've been doing this for way before that was ever a thing. So what made you want to get into styling?
I knew from the time that I was probably 6 years old that this was going to be my path. I would go to the salon with my mom when she would get her hair done. And even just as a little kid, I would sit in the chair next to her and I would be that obnoxious kid spinning and opening the drawers and pulling the brushes out and, coming home and doing my Barbie's hair. my entire life from when I was super little, I just knew that I was going to be that girl behind the chair. And then as I got into high school, I got to my senior year and I actually went to beauty school my senior year and graduated from beauty school and high school the same exact week. And
That's crazy.
there hasn't been a year that I haven't done hair. I mean, I've always just done hair. I've always been behind the chair. And it, like you said, it's a changing industry constantly, and you have to stay up on those changes. Just because I don't post onto social media and stuff, it doesn't mean that I don't stay up with the trends. I have been very blessed to have a full clientele that I don't have to go out on social media and put myself out there and say, oh, look, I'm a blonding specialist, or I'm a short, bob and pixie cut specialist. I just get referrals. But you're never too busy to say that your clientele is closed. That's one thing that I teach my girls in my salon is you can have a waiting list, but don't ever tell anybody your clientele's closed, that you're not accepting new people. So
That's interesting. I want to expand on the lessons that you've taught your girls, because you have that business where you teach stylists how to build their own books of business. But to your point, that you started it in high school, both of my most recent hair girls, the hair girl I have here in Miami and the hair girl I had in Tennessee, both of them also started it in high school or right after. The girl in Tennessee, her high school had it. I think actually both of them, because my girl here was originally in New York. Their high schools had as part of their home ec program, had a partnership with a beauty school where they could do their home ec credits through that, or one of their extracurriculars through that. And so they learned hair in school and they just have built their businesses. So they're my age, in their mid 20s or 30s, but they've been doing hair for 7+ years, which for me, as someone who I put my hair through the ringer for so many years, I want to go to someone who has experience and isn't going to just do what, because I show them pictures okay, yeah, I can do that, and then burn my hair. It's they actually know what they're talking about. And I think that's why social media is harmful and helpful. I wouldn't have found neither girl without social media. I had moved to Tennessee for school and I was looking on, there's a lot of bottle blondes in Tennessee. I did not want to be a bottle blonde. So I was okay, where can I go that my hair's not fully dark? I'm technically a brunette, but I have highlights naturally. So it's I want to go blonde. I don't want to go bright blonde. I want it to still look natural. And I found a blonde specialist through an influencer, but she had done brunettes too. Her darkest hair color was mine, because she does focus more on the lighter. And I saw the work that she did for a couple of months on this one girl, and I was you know what? I'm going to give her a shot. And I loved her. And then the same thing, I kind of went through that same process in Miami when I moved back. And the girl that I went to had a very similar method to that first girl. And I was okay, I think this is where I want to go. And I haven't looked back since. It's been 2 years since I've been going to her now. But I think it's hard when you look at social media, stylists, they're just posting trending or these beautiful looks, and they don't tell you it's going to look different on everybody depending on, the base color and how much you've done before and your skin color and all these other factors that I love that my girls were so well versed in that. And I think you are too. And so for someone who doesn't use social media to stay up with the trends, or, isn't posting on social media, how do you stay up with the trends and educate yourself on that?
So I'm huge in my salon. I'm huge on in-house education as well. So can stylists learn a lot on social media? Absolutely. But hands-on is always better than a video. I run an apprenticeship program as well. So I have girls who either are in high school, senior year, like your friends did, or I have girls who have graduated that come in, stylists that come in, and they can get their hair design license actually through my salon. And so I've got some instructors and we take these girls on or would even take a guy on, any stylist on, to teach them. And but yeah, back to the whole social media is great, but even for my stylists, not just my students, but my team as a whole, I bring outside education in house to stay up. So, we do that through our suppliers and our vendors and stuff like that. We're a Goldwell salon. We use Goldwell hair color. I studied back in New York. That's another way that I get resources is I personally go out and do my own education as well to keep up on top of it. I went back to New York a couple of years ago and studied for a week with Goldwell, hands on that week. And I was able to bring that education back to, I can bring that back to my team to teach them. But there's always constant education that you can go to. So
I think that's for anything though in life. I feel like as a lawyer, I have to take continuing legal education. Doctors also have to do their version of that. Every profession has continuing education requirements to stay licensed, and they should. And I think a lot of people forget that. They think like, oh, I did it all, I'm good, I can just, and like we kind of get stuck in our own ways. I think it's really nice that you make it easy for them. You bring it to them. You don't force them to like go do this and like come back. Like for us, it's like we have to spend all our money on all these extra resources just to stay up to date. But for you, like you started your own salon, and then you also now have your apprentice program and you teach your hairstylist in house, all of this stuff. But you didn't start out that way. So walk me back to high school, 18, 19 years old. How many years were you at a salon before you were like, no, I'm doing this my way?
So, I mean, this is my 33rd year in the industry, and this is where our salon just turned 1 year old. So we just are celebrating our birthday here in a few weeks. But when I graduated from beauty school, I salon hopped a little bit until I found my perfect salon. So I went to a couple salons, and then I found one that I honed in on. Worked there for several years. I put my ex-husband through school, and then once he graduated, we were living in northern Utah, and he got a job down in the Salt Lake area. So we moved, and I traveled back to northern Utah every week, and would just take my kids up, and grandma would watch them, and I would go do hair, a couple days here and there. And finally we built a home, and I wanted to stay home to be a mom. I didn't want to work 40 hours a week, but I didn't want to leave the industry either. So we did like a completely separate, like salon spa type thing in our home. And as my kids got older, we actually built a second home and did it even more separate than my first one. And my kids, it was awesome because here they're older, in high school and junior high, and they would know that if mom's at work, don't come down to the spa area unless there's an emergency. And then they would come down, but yeah, I was there if they needed me, and again, I still stayed up on everything. I'd go to hair shows while they were being raised. And then I unfortunately went through a divorce, and he got the home with the salon in it. And then it was at that point where I was kind of forced to be back out into the salon world. And that's been about 8 years now. And again, I had to salon hop a little bit until I found my one salon that I wanted to be in. And I actually helped manage that salon. And as I was the manager, I just kind of saw some things where I'm like, oh man, if this was my salon, this is how I would build my team. This is what I would do for my team. And it just worked out to be a mutual agreement between the owner and I that it was best that we part ways. And that's when I started my own.
When you were salon hopping, you said twice, like it took you a little while to kind of find the right fit for you. What would you say, what were you looking for? And for someone who, they just finished beauty school and they're kind of in that point where they're trying to find the right fit for them, what do you think they should be looking for?
Well, one, they should be looking for education, in-house continuing education. Another, environment. What's the environment like? I have created an environment with my team and my salon that I want my environment to feel to customers, to guests when they come in that it's a safety net. Because, like you said, we become therapists, right? And whoever's in our chair, it's like we could wheel them out and go take them over to a therapy room if we had one across the hall.
You could.
But so I've created this place that I want our guests to come in, and I want them to feel that sense of safety the second that they walk in our door. But I also want that same space to feel like home to my team. I am the type of owner who, if you start out, this new generation of stylists is very different than my generation of stylists. My generation, we work 50, 60 hours a week. We are on our feet all day long, and we will take people and take people and take people, and we don't know how to say no. This generation that's coming in now, they know how to say no, and they know how to draw boundaries. And I like it. I want to support them with their boundaries. But I tell my team, I'm like, a while ago, one of the girls called me, hey, boss lady. And I'm like, don't call me your boss. I am an equal. I am your friend. I have created this place, but this place, you're going to be in it as much or more as I am, right? So when they start, environment is huge, and who you're working for is huge. You want to look for somebody who has your back and has the same values too that you have. So if girls start I had a girl start last week with me, a new girl, and she said, okay, so do I need to get you a list of all the days that I want off for the summer? And I'm like, well, if it is a ridiculous amount, probably we should talk about it. But you and I are both adults. And she tried to explain like where she was going on these days and that. And I'm like, I care, but I don't care. You know what I mean? I give my team free agency. And I feel like that's super important because you want to keep your team, and if you have all these laws and these rules, you want boundaries, you want rules, but you got to be flexible.
Yeah, I think it goes to mutual respect too. Like you respect them, and in exchange, they respect you, and you also expect them to show up when they say they're going to show up. But also, you recognize that they have their own lives outside of whatever environment, work, salon, family, whatever. Like we all have multiple versions of ourselves that need to be prioritized at different times. But no, I think it's definitely, as someone who started out on my own relatively early into my career, just because I wasn't finding any firms that really had the fit that I wanted. So I created it myself. I think that it's important to have the education and, for me, the mentorship. So for you, the education, you do it in-house, but also you're willing to teach them, and the apprentice program, like how to get to where you are. And it's not a competition. You want them to be successful, even if they end up being more successful than you, like that's okay. It's really hard to find people like that. And so I'm curious, when did that apprentice program for you kind of ideate? Like what made you decide to, instead of just bringing the education and helping, in all your years of being in the industry, whether it was at your own home salon or at a different salon managing, and you're helping these girls really build these books of businesses, when did you decide to create an apprentice program? Because you probably were doing a lot of mentorship in and out of the salon, but to take it to that one step further, what made you decide to do that?
And I'll hit on something else, what you just said too a minute ago, how you said, even if the girls are more successful than you. As a salon owner, I tell my girls every day, I can learn from them, and I still do learn from them. And I never stop learning, and they have taught me.
That's huge.
So much. I love going to work and being able to walk over and be like, what is that method that you're doing? Can I learn that? Like, will you teach it to me? And I'm not afraid to step back and say, I don't know everything. Teach.
That's huge. Right? That's huge. As someone in a position of power, but like that top, position, the head boss, the name of the face of the business, for you to still say I'm teachable is huge. I cannot tell you,
I love
especially in the legal profession. Like, man, my boss, like former bosses, I'm just like, I wrote literally like verbatim. He's like, I learned by being thrown to the wolves. So that's how I'm going to teach you. I'm throwing you to the wolves. I walked into a hearing completely unprepared and I made a huge fool of myself in front of several experienced attorneys. And I was like, thank you so much for that. Like now, like I'm so embarrassed, and not just for you, but like not just for myself, but for you. Like I cannot believe that that's how you, like, just because it's been done that way for so many years doesn't mean it has to be done that way anymore. So I think it's huge that you're willing to learn from the people around you, the people under you, hold the door open for them. My mom is very much the same way. And with her team, like a lot of her team members are my age or even younger than me now. And she's constantly like I'm like, how did you learn that? But I'm glad that she's open to learning. That's huge.
Right. Yeah, but the reason I started my apprenticeship program is I think this is how it is around most of the country, to be honest with you. I think that the beauty schools, the ratio from instructors to students is there's just not enough instructors. There's not enough teaching, depending upon what school you go to. But everything that I was seeing that was coming out of 90% of the schools here in Utah, these stylists, they don't know how to do hair. They don't know how to cut hair. They're missing, like they'll get in and it's like, oh, okay, I want to be a blonding specialist. That's great. Blonde all day long. But at the end of the day, trends switch, they change. And if you don't know how to cut hair and you don't know how to cut it well, if you don't know how to barber, I want stylists who are well-rounded.
Yeah.
Now, I will teach you all that. I'll teach you how to barber and perm and balayage and all these things. And at the end of your program, if you're like, no, I still just want to hone in and I only want to do this, great. But
at least you have the tools.
Yeah. Your tool belt will be full. And I just kept seeing girls come in and it's like, you don't know how to do a layered haircut? What is this? And or they'll come
No,
in
I cannot tell you the amount of time people don't, because I mean, like I'll literally show you. Like I washed it yesterday, so it's clean and I have a lot of hair. I have a lot of hair and it's curly. Like on the outside it looks wavy, but like if I showed you the inside, you can't really see it. Yeah. But it's curly.
Curls.
And I cannot tell you the amount of times people do not know how to cut my hair. And so I will literally go to like a Dominican salon and get it cut there. And then I'll go get my color done somewhere else because they just don't, like, even though my girl is Greek and she has a lot of hair herself and she knows how to handle hair. So she'll do like the framing layers and stuff. But like the whole like big layered cut whenever I need to get a trim, like or my grandma was a hairstylist for years in Cuba. So I just go to her house, like my dad, my brother, like we all just get a haircut at my grandma's house. A lot of my friends have to. It's hilarious. But yeah, people just don't know how to cut hair anymore, or they only know how to do like the trendy cuts. And it's like, I am not someone who's going to cut my hair up to here because it's trendy. I would look like a poodle. Like I can't do that.
Well, and not only that, it's like they don't know the difference between like what texture shears are and what thinning shears are, or what a razor is for. You know, you have somebody sitting in your chair and they're like, don't touch my hair with a razor. If you've had a bad razor cut, that's on the stylist. I get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because really anybody that sits in my chair, I know how to work the razor. I could give anybody a razor cut, and it's not going to be a bad cut. You probably would never know that I got my razor out. You just need to be trained. So that was my biggest why for starting my program. I can't take, because I only have a couple instructors besides myself. We can only do 2 to 3 girls a year. But then at the end of, when most of the girls here in Utah get out of school, they'll go to find a job. And if they come to a high-end salon like our salon, they're not going to get a job. They have to go and they have to do another 12 to 18 months of shadowing somebody. So you've got your beauty school that took you already over 12 months. And then you've got another 12 to 18 months of having to shadow somebody before you can even really make very good money. Where this program, you're side by side with an experienced stylist and your instructor for your whole term. you're with your instructor who has a lot of experience, and you're getting that shadow experience.
So how do you select the girls that, because you are putting so much resources into them, are they paying anything to be a part of this program, and how much time are you investing in them?
Yeah, so this program costs as much as it does to go to beauty school.
So this would be in place of beauty school, or you still want them to have gone to beauty school?
No, they'll get their state of Utah hair design
Nice.
for yeah, we have to follow all of the state rules. They do all the state exams, everything, practical, it all. It's just like you're in beauty school. So
that's cool. I think that would be, it's kind of similar to, I'm like relating it to like the legal profession. The UK is very much like that with how their training is. Like they don't go to law school after college. They get a bachelor's in law as their undergrad. So then they apprentice for like 3-4 years and then take an exam, like the bar exam, and then they're barristers. Solicitors have a different thing. So I think that there's so much, I like that that's how you guys do it, because I joke about this all the time, but it's not a joke. You learn nothing in law school. You learn how to think like a lawyer, but you actually don't know how to practice. To your point, like they don't know how to cut hair. So what did you learn for 3 years? It's like,
not only do you not know how to cut hair, like I had one girl who came and worked, at the salon that I was managing, and I'll never forget this. Like she's back at the color bar mixing somebody's color, and there's so much chemistry that goes in to color. It's crazy. Like we have to know the chemistry of your hair. You've got to know the cortex and the cuticle and the underlying pigment color. And she was going to turn this lady's hair from blonde to brown. And what she was mixing in the bowl, I'm like, we have a conversation. Like, what are you doing here? And she told me, and I'm like, you missed the whole color wheel, like the whole thing. You're going to go turn her hair green now. Dump that out. So my program, I've got it pretty dialed in. So these girls know what they're doing at a very early stage in the apprenticeship program. And I actually am also, we're getting ready to launch to be able to sell the apprenticeship program. So to other salon owners, just because by doing it, you're building your team. You know what I'm saying? So we're preparing to
that's smart.
Sell our apprenticeship program to other salon to other salon owners, so they can go in and build their team from the ground up and know.
No, that is genius because of what you said. You're building your team. Like the goal is to have them come work with you later because they've already gotten to know your clientele. They're there day in and day out, or they have the tools to go and build their own salon already. And you work with them and, it's genius. But how do you, because I'm sure you have a lot of people wanting to come work with you, considering they get all of it with you instead of having to go somewhere else and then shadow.
Right.
How do you select the 2-3 girls you work with a year?
So right here, I have my little hair design apprenticeship program. I actually make people go through an application process.
That's smart. Yeah.
So, I want to know what their underlying why is, why they want to do it,
Yeah.
I'm going through an interviewing process right now because we're ready to start another program. My girls are graduating here in a couple of weeks, so we'll be starting our next session. And as I've been interviewing girls, I've pretty much so honed in on who I think I'm going to be choosing, but they have this, you can just see in their face, they just have this passion already for hair. And it's like, that's huge. I just want to bottle them up.
No, that's awesome. I cannot tell you the amount of times weekly I'll get a DM. Like, I want to work with you. I want to learn from you. I want to do this. And it's like, I'm happy to have a call with you, but I am not hiring. One, I can't afford to hire anybody. Two, similar to you, if and when I'm ready to hire, there is going to be a process because similarly, it's a very glamorous industry. I could go to events and I do all these cool things. Not everyone has what it takes. Not everybody's in it for the right reasons.
Right.
Let's go back to what you said. why do you want this? That is my number. If I hop on a call with a law student, or even better, I love getting them when they're prospective, they're still in college. Why do you want to be a lawyer? And if you tell me it's because my dad's a lawyer or this person's a lawyer, or like, I want to make a lot of money, I'm like, wrong reason. And if that's truly the reason, I'm not the right person for you.
Yep. Right.
So that's huge that you have a system in place. And I think it's also genius to go and sell that to people who want to build what you're building. Because yeah, like I was talking about this a couple days ago. Like, I've never subscribed to the whole, like, you have to dim someone's light to make yourself feel better. Like, if there's not enough seats at the table, let's pick a different table, or we will add chairs and like, or sit on my lap. I don't care. Like, we'll find a way. Like, I'm going to bring you into this. You know, I don't understand why people are so like competition, like collaboration is better than competition. We could always learn.
Yes.
And it's so frustrating to me. And I can only imagine, I remember growing up, like, I'm sure you know, like Jerseylicious and like all those shows that were like about salons, and like seeing that, it was entertaining, but definitely like not somewhere that I would want to be even as a client. So the fact that we know exactly what those types of women, especially women, are, businesses, companies, whatever. Like, I like that you're doing it differently.
Yeah, there's a lot of toxic salons out there. I just have tried to create one that even when I have new girls come from other salons, and, for an example, one came in and she's like, oh, well, this salon, this is what was happening. And I just said, I'll hear it if you feel like I need to hear it, but I just don't like negative talk about other salons. Yeah. Like, I'm super sorry it didn't work out for you there. Let's just try to make your life better here. I don't like talking about other salons. I don't like talking about past owners and drama. It just brings negativity into my space, and I don't need it.
Yeah. No, there's enough drama going on in their lives, like in the client's life, like save the drama for the boy drama or something else. There's no point. Yeah. But with running a salon, like we were talking about, like you work with Goldwell Color, like probably a very prestigious, expensive hair color brand. Obviously, getting your hair done is expensive. You're doing it multiple times a year. Like, how do you, as on the business side of things, because you're also teaching these girls the business side of things, because a lot of people, they're like, oh, I just want to do hair because it's pretty and fun, and they don't realize like there's a lot of math and chemistry that go into this. Yeah. How did you teach yourself the business aspects, and like what are the most important things for someone who wants to get into this industry to know about the business side? And how do you have an accountant? Like, do you do it yourself? Like, how do you make this a successful business model?
I just got married a year ago, and my husband's a retired dentist. So he's run 2 different dental offices in his career. So I'm super fortunate that way to have his back. He has my back, and he's on the back end. He does a lot of the accounting and the numbers. But I also had to get my business going, up and running this first year. I'm like 14 months into it now. And finally, just this month, I'm able to take a little bit of a step back and get to know the business end of it a little bit better. So, but he does do all of our accounting and stuff like that. I do teach, though, my girls, I like to have markers for them to say, hey, these are our goals, business wise, like, let's see what we can do to do add-on services. How much money can you make if you just say to your client, hey, would you like a wax today? Is that something that you're interested in? Or would you like your brows tinted? Add-on services, a conditioning treatment, another add-on service. I'm always trying to teach my girls to up their game a little bit, but to also know their value and their worth, not to sell themselves short.
Yeah, but and that's great. And I'm glad you have like his support, but I know like a lot of salons are like the girls rent the chair and it's their clientele that way. Or like, how do you run your business in that sense? Like, are they renting a chair, or are they employees? Like, learning that aspect of the business?
I have both. And in my
Okay.
business, I wrote it so I could do both. So it's actually called Salon M and Suites. I have 5 suites that I can rent out. Right now, I'm only renting 2 of them. And the other 3, I have commission girls in. In the main salon, I have 7 chairs. So I have my main salon, 7 chairs, and then I have my suites that I've got girls in, and then 2 that are rentals. Originally, I went in thinking that I was going to rent those 5 rooms out. That was my business motto or model. But it's come to me that, I think ever since 2020, since we went through COVID, a lot of people don't want to be around a lot of people still.
Yeah.
A lot of the stylists have come to love being in their own room. So I actually have commission girls in those rooms, and I'm not going to move them because they're happy and they're thriving in there. So
Yeah.
my business, I do both though. I rent and I do commission. You have to be very careful when you're doing commission because it's like I provide this in-house education. I can't demand that they're there. I just hope that they'll show up and support me because I'm trying to support them because they're not paid hourly. So there's some laws that you have to be kind of careful with too, crossing over.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And I'm glad that education piece, we kind of keep going back to that. But like what you just said, the laws, like there's different regulations, there's different things that you have to treat them and handle the situations differently. The girl that I go to is at a suite, but it's like just like a building with a bunch of different suites. They're all a bunch of different types of beauty services in there. The girl that I was at in Tennessee built her own salon. I started going to her when she was renting a chair at a salon, and then she built her own, and I got to be there through the whole process of her building her own. And she has her own method. She has, I don't think she has a full-on apprentice program quite like you do, but like kind of a hybrid of like the traditional, like how she built a salon, like teaching her girls her methods and stuff.
Right.
And I was actually talking to my girl last month when I went here, Miami, of like, she just moved from one studio space, like a suite space, to a different building. And I was like, how do you like this one? Like, would you ever, she teamed up with her best friend as a business partner. So it's them 2 together instead of like her individually and the other girl individually. I'm like, would you ever do like a full salon, or like, do you like the suites? And like, we were like talking business about it. And so it's just, that's why I asked you, like, I'm curious, like what your philosophy is on that. 'Cause it's very interesting, I think. And yeah, it depends on what your goals are, what your passions are. Everybody has a different like goal. Like, it's funny. My girl is like, I'm more like the marketing and like the ideation and like the creative. And then my business partner is more like the admin, the organization. Like we both bring something different to the business, and we're able to do it together and make it what it is because of that. And they hired on a 3rd girl that they're training, that she just got out of beauty school. She had moved to Miami, was looking for a salon, kind of to go back what we were talking about earlier. She's like, I wanted to fit like a salon that had like this type of look and feel, and I hadn't found anything. And then I found you guys one day on Instagram, and she's like, I literally one day saw her reel and I thought it was my girl, and it wasn't. It was like the trainee girl, but she's just very similar work and very similar aesthetic and all of the things. And it just, I think finding the right people to work with and to learn from is huge.
Yeah. I also, to be a booth runner, to go in and rent a suite, you've got to really be having a full calendar of clients. By the time you do all of your product, your rent, your insurance, your taxes, it's pretty expensive. So I've tried to also structure my business model for the girls who are commissioned to be fair to them. Give them 20% off their retail sales, which is unheard of in salons. And then they work themselves up to a 50-50 really quick, which is also unheard of. But I want to keep them there. I want to keep them happy, and I want them to make money. They're working hard.
No, that's huge that you're willing to, even, like you said, it's unheard of that you're willing to do that. It says a lot about you and not having the ego and wanting to actually see people succeed in this industry. It is so rare. And I enjoy that people like that. Those are my kinds of people. So I enjoy that, talking to you about that, especially in an industry that like I know enough of, because again, we all go get our hair done. So we know like a little bit about it, but really learning like that's why like it's funny when I go into my hair girl, my appointment is like a minimum of 4 hours because just a part. Let me put it to you this way: a partial balayage on me takes 3.5 hours and 3 bowls of color. A partial, literally what? And so she had never blow dried my hair because by the time that we would come in, it was a whole day. She would only be able to do one other client either before or after me because she'd be dead. So I was like, I'll walk out with wet hair. She would literally blow out the front so I could see it. And I'm like, it's fine. Don't worry. I'll do my hair myself when I get home. I get it. It's okay. So one day I finally had her just do the whole thing. Like we both had the time. And I was like, I want you to do it because I want you to get the content. Also, like, we have to both commit to be here for like 500 years. And her boyfriend came by. We talked to him for an hour. We played with the dog. I vented about all the things I hadn't talked about to her in 3 months. And then we vented about her stuff. Literally, we were there for 4.5, 5 hours. It's just a long time.
But it probably was really good to have it blown out, didn't it?
Oh my God, it was so nice. I love getting my hair done. It was so fun to just like, because we got to catch up on her. Like that was the first time going to that new space and like learning so much about the business side of things. Like I realized I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. Like, I guess you kind of thought you were going to be because you wanted to do hair since you were young. But for me, like I never planned to be an entrepreneur. And now that I am, I'm like, I can't imagine being anything else because I'm like learning everybody's business. I'm like, what can I learn from you? Like, but being teachable, that's huge. Yeah. But going back to like trends and stuff and how they're always shifting, how do you stay on the trends, know what's coming next? Do you like being more of a trendsetter or a trend follower? Like, what do you see now that we're going into summer?
I definitely like being I like my stylists to be trendsetters, you know, and that's why, we try to keep up with all of our vendors and salespeople and shows, hair shows, and you know, continuing education, whether I go out and get it or they come with me and we get it. But, you know, take for example, right now, I've been in meetings and have finally agreed to bring in, it's called Raccoon hair extensions. I don't know if you've heard of them, but Raccoon, they've been around a long time, but their method has changed. And they knew too in the industry that they had to evolve and change. You've got great thick hair, so you probably don't know extension.
It's funny, every time I would go into either salon, like they were talking about having just done a girl with extensions, and they would, before I even said anything, because obviously I can't contribute, I'm like I don't worry about you. I'm like, I literally, if I tried to put I would do it for length, but my hair grows really fast. It's just curly, so then I have to get the layers done often because the top layer will grow out before this one. But it's like, I only would do it for length. They're like, I'm not touching. No, like, you do not need more hair. I'm like, no, I don't want, I'm already dying of heat 90% of the time. We're good. Don't worry.
So extensions, it's interesting because especially like on Instagram, you go and look and it's
everybody.
Like, we do this method and we do this method and this method. And it's been very interesting bringing Raccoon in and agreeing to have them be a part of our salon. The education that I've gotten from them already and the knowledge of how they do their system, it's an untouchable system. They're out of the UK. They have engineered so they know exactly how much weight you can have on each row, which as stylists, we're making such a huge mistake of how many wefts we're putting on each row. The other thing, they have engineered their beads to be aluminum beads, which is way more safe, and it doesn't. Anyhow, the technology that's behind Raccoon, I want to stand on the top of the mountain and scream it out that everybody that's wearing hair extensions, that we need to switch them over to this method, because
I love learning about it and seeing how they do it. Like my hair girl, whenever she's doing like the, you know, putting it up and stuff, and I'm like, this is fun. I like watching it. I
probably have seen like how they've sewn it in.
Yeah, the sewing.
So Raccoon has come up with a method with on their weft. The beads come up through their wefts and there's absolutely no sewing, which means there's no tension. It's nice. Amazing. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's so funny. It's funny because growing up with a family that all of us have like good hair and a lot of hair, thankfully, every time I like we would see extensions, like we would always just like, oh, you see her extensions, like, oh, they look so bad. So like I always thought like extensions like so taboo and like such a bad thing. And then I got to college and everyone and their mother had extensions, especially a lot of the girls that were brunette that wanted to start going lighter. They would do like extensions at the bottom to like see if they wanted to go before, which is smart instead of going directly into like, but yeah. And then now everybody has extensions, or being in Tennessee where everybody had extensions. And I was just like, this is so unique to me. Like, I don't understand it at all, but I think it's cool. It's fun.
Yeah. But you want to save your hair in this method. You actually like girls put the extensions in too a lot of the time because their hair's thin.
Yeah.
They want thicker hair. And this method has been proven to be able to be so safe that you're actually growing hair. You're not losing it. So it's pretty incredible. So
no, that's cool. What's one of your favorite, I guess, like, what's your favorite appointment? When someone books with you, when you see it on your calendar, you're like excited about that appointment. What's your favorite thing to do?
I specialize in short hair, pixie cuts, short hair.
Interesting. I feel like short hair is having a moment right now. I can never pull it off, but I did it once in middle school, and no one needs to see those pictures. It's not pretty. My grandma always complains about how hard it is to find people who can do short hair well. She has like where it's shorter in the back and a little longer in the front, and she dyes her own hair, but she obviously can't cut the back of her own head like that short. Right. So she really struggles to find like the right person. Every time she gets her hair done, she complains like,
I'll come visit her. I'll give her
please. But no, that's interesting that you like working with short hair, because you would think like being so passionate about hair, you would want to work like long hair, extensions, all these different things. What do you see?
7, I would.
What do you see the most of being for in your salon? Like, what's your salon known for?
We are a very well-rounded salon. We have a lot of blonding. We do a lot of extensions, but we also do a lot of creative color too. So I've got some girls that are bomb at creative color, but yeah, we're pretty well-rounded. And our team, they're not just color specialists in blonding. They'll do the bonding and the, reverse balayages and stuff like that. So I feel like my team's very well-rounded.
That's good. That's always the goal, that you build, like we said, like you want to create girls that are better than you or different than you, that add something that you can't add. So it's cool that you guys each probably have like your own thing too. Like each girl has their specialty. My girl now is a brunette specialist, and she does a lot of bronze, which is like, I'm naturally like, this is my natural hair color. I just get highlights to brighten it because it can get really dull, especially in the winter. Like, and we don't go super light in the summer, because by the end of the summer, if I put more bleach in it, my hair would be, I look like I have sun in naturally. So yeah, I think I only did sun in once because I was like, oh, this is poorly. I told you I made a lot of mistakes. Like you're gonna be horrified, but I remember. So I'm naturally like this color, and I was tired of being like, people still don't believe that I'm Hispanic. They're like, but you're like blonde, and like my brother has green eyes, and it's like your last name is Irish. Like, what do you mean? Like, and so I was like, you know what? I want to look really exotic, and without asking for permission, because my grandma's a hairstylist, I said, Abuela, can we go to the beauty store? Like the one that you have to show your card in, like not just like Walgreens, like a beauty supply store. And I want to go brunette. And so we went one day after school. I was 16. And we found like I forget now what it was, but it was like a mahogany color. Like it was like an auburn, like a brunette auburn kind of, but like very natural color. And I just walked into my parents' house one day. Mother wanted to murder me. And so then I had that all throughout high school. And then for prom, I got it in my head that I wanted to be a redhead, but like, again, auburn still, like, so we went a little bit lighter, and I was a redhead, like prom, graduation. And then college, I was like, no, I want to go back to my natural color. So I started like adding highlights in it to lighten it up a little bit. And I got burned with highlights one time. So then I was like, I just got a box color in college, and I myself matched it to what it used to be, like that mahogany color. And like Clairol, like in the bathroom, like the way my grandma had taught me to do it, I dyed my hair myself. So then in the summers, I would go highlights to go lighter. In the fall, I would just dye my dark hair. And my grandma, every time, she's like, why didn't you just come home? Like, why? Why would you do this? And I'm like, I could do it myself. Like, it's not hard to dye my own hair. I wouldn't do highlights myself. I would like just do the box color. And then by the time college graduation came around, I was dark. I will send you a picture. I was dark. I loved it, but I didn't look like myself. Like I would have to wear so much makeup because it would wash me out. And but I loved being dark, and like, it's like my alter ego. Like no one believes that that's me. Like I don't look like myself. And then I started letting it grow out all throughout law school. And like in law school, I finally found that girl in Tennessee who was a blonde specialist. And she got me to this color. And now it's just about maintaining it. And I'm like, I'm back to my natural color. And I'm like, why did I ever do that to myself? But the dark hair was fun.
Yeah. We all have to go through our changes, right?
Yeah. But my girl now, she does some creative color. Like actually I'm drinking a poppy, and she had a girl that was like this color, like a black girl. Yeah. And her hair was the roots were dark, but then she had like this color hair. And I was like, only that girl could pull it off. Like I would never go like bright colors. Like I'm very much about natural. Oh, in middle school one time I dyed my hair purple, but I had my grandma do where like if I put my hair in a ponytail, like this part of it was purple, but without bleach. Like my grandma would never let me bleach my hair. And that's the thing. I did it on my own. Like I went to someone and I was like, I want highlights. And I didn't understand why my grandma was like, you have very light hair. If you put bleach in it, it's going to get really light really fast. I lift very quickly. And people who don't know that are going to ruin your hair. And now I learned my lesson. But yeah, it was good times.
It was so fun. Yeah, we all have to go through our little trends.
Yeah, we do. What do you see is going to be really big now that we're entering spring, summer? I know short hair is in. I feel like more like this color is in, like not more like lighter brunettes. I think like I keep saying like old money blondes. I'm like, why do we keep giving you these weird ass names?
Seriously, right? Bobs, and then the big money pieces, they're gone. You just little teeny tiny and very a little more dimensional is coming.
That's always my goal. We always, every time I go, she's like, do you want more sparkle? That's what she calls it, when it's just like dimension. Like you'll see random like highlights, because my hair gets really light. Like if you see me at the beach, half of my hair will be in like a French braid, and then I'll keep changing the part. Like, so like the sun will hit this side, and then I'll go like this, and then the sun hits this side.
Well, that's why she calls it sparkles. That's what I call my grays.
Yeah, that too. I know. And she was like, it's going to be so easy for you when you start graying to blend in your grays, because your hair is naturally like has like dimension like that. My mom has never dyed her hair until in the last 2 years, her grays have started coming in. So my grandma will do like a glaze. Like, again, she doesn't dye it fully. It's just like a glaze. And then with shampoo, lets it sit the rest of it, so it gets the whole color. She originally claimed she was going to go naturally, let it all gray out. I'm like, you have way too much hair, and that's going to look really fucking ugly for a few years if you do that. So let's not do that. She changed her mind.
I'm not quite there yet. But
I think it works. It works for some women to let it gray out like that. I love it on some women, but I was like, my mom is not.
Yeah.
It looks cool, but
it does.
Definitely not for me. Are you naturally a brunette, or what's your natural hair color?
Naturally black. Yep, I have been black since I was a little girl.
So, have you ever dyed it? You're like any crazy colors or done anything?
No, not crazy colors. I've lightened my hair a few times and put like a little bit of caramel in it, but I always just go back to being black. It's just who I am. Some days I'm like, I see an old picture of me, or I'll see like a really pretty brunette, like dark brunette, and I'm like, that would be so nice. But like, nope. It took me so many years to get back to this color, and like I'll play with like shades of it, like a toner. We'll play with the toner, but like our formula, like our base is very much the same. And funny enough, my girl here uses the same products that my girl in Tennessee used. So like my girl in Tennessee is like, I'll give you the formula. Like, you're moving states. Like, it's not a big deal to give. She gave me the formula, and I brought it with me, and like we've tweaked it a little bit to add
Miami's very like, I'm more in the sun here, the water, like things are different. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's
That's
cool. I love, like, I don't think I would have ever done hair, but like I love more creative fields like that. I think I would have been like either a publicist or like interior designer. But because I have that eye for like aesthetics and style, like I love like talking to people in hair or following hair accounts. I don't go crazy with my hair, but I love following them because I'm like, this is fun. Like it's cool to see
what the
how you
trend.
guys come up with. Yeah, like I always love, or like nail colors too, like very similarly. I'm like, what's in this year for? I'm like basic,
but then I don't ever change. I'm always French tip.
Yeah,
And then if my guy puts something on me, he'll do one nail and it's like pink, and I'm like, Danny, take that off.
No, yeah, no, I. It's funny. I'm like in the fall, like I'm a November baby, so like around October, November, I'll switch to like a burgundy or like a dark blue or a dark green, black on occasion. Like I don't really wear black that much. And then starting like February, March, I'll do like funny bunny or like, you know, like a baby pink, like a really pale, like milky white pink. I did like a gray this time. So I was like, I don't really like, I don't know, I'm not feeling fully like go white for summer yet, but once like now, like May, like I'm probably going to start do huge white for 6 months. Like I'm so boring with that because I'll get bored of trends really quickly, especially with my nails. Like I'm seeing them every day. It's like too shocking. Yeah. I also wear neutral. So like when I'm wearing like a bright purple nail, it's like, it's a lot.
Right.
But no, it's funny how we all have our own things, but like that you get to be as a stylist, play around with like all these like other fun trends. What's your favorite part about being a stylist, and what's like the biggest lesson you've learned in your 33 years of being in this industry?
So my favorite part of being a stylist is the artistic part. I feel like I can just express myself in art. You know, I love being able to be creative. I mean, there's so many moving parts here, right, to that question. But I love the artistic ability that I have to bring out. What I have learned in all of these years is how connections can happen with every walk of life that sits in your chair. And I love being able to have that connection with all sorts of different walks of life. And, you know, again, being a judgment free chair, that when you sit in my chair, there's no judgment. Yeah. So it's been really fun. It's been a very great industry for me.
Yeah. What do you see yourself once you sell this program to other salons? Are you going to do any other developmental programs, or are you just going to ride out where you're at right now? What's next for you, do you think?
We'll have to see. I mean, once my apprenticeship program, like if I can get that out and get that sold to some salon owners, I would love to eventually be on the coaching end of things as I near retirement. Do coaching.
That'd be cool
for salon owners.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'm starting to kind of offer some coaching to like law students, but also like the personal branding for lawyers and law students, and even just entrepreneurs who want to use social media to build their business. Because as someone who grew up and built an entire business on the internet, I literally like I've learned I'm getting an MBA in life. That's what I call it. And it's so much more rewarding that way than I think being in a classroom. Like for some people that works, but that's just never really been my thing, even though I went to extra school.
Right.
And to what you said, like a while ago, you like wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but you wanted to have your own thing too. Like you were able to build, or you were present in if they needed you, but they also respected like mom's working, like don't come down here. As someone who's building a business, working from home, like that's my goal. Like I never wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and I still don't, but I want to be present in my child's life. So like I like that I can, you know, when they're home from school, like
you can be there.
I'm here if they need me, but I also have my own life too, and I get to do things that fulfill me and inspire me and excite me. And like you said, judgment-free zone in your chair. I love connecting with people of all different walks of life. Like I may not be able to understand, but I I can always find like a point of connection with them. And I genuinely learned so much from those calls, and I want to continue to do that. So yeah, it's interesting to see. Where could everybody find you? Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on my podcast. We are at salonmandsweets.com, and our Instagram is salonmandsweets as well.
Well, I'll link it all below. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll talk to you all next week.